What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. I hope you're having an amazing day so far. Today guys, I am going to bring you a video about tips for setting up your camp vendor and just camp vending in general. I'm going to give you guys a few tips for really making your camp vending pop out. I know some people want to know how to get max caps immediately by camp vending because my camp vendor maxes out my caps pretty well. And I'm going to give you some tips so hopefully you can have a successful Fallout 76 vendor as well. So the first tip I have for you guys, and this is probably the most important tip on this list, because without this tip, you can't actually sell anything. And that's to let you guys know, on your map, you need two things. You need to make sure your camp displays on the map. So first thing you got to do, you click on your camp, make sure your public map icon is on. Because if it's off, you see how it's not displaying that ring that flashes around it. If that ring doesn't display like that, other players can't see your camp on the map and they won't be able to go to your vendor unless they just stumble upon it. So unless you're in a really cool location where a lot of players walk by, they're not going to find your vendor. But another thing I'm going to show you guys about this is, do you guys see this green V right here? That means there's a vendor at the camp. So let me show you this. So as you know guys, I do have my vendor is stored inside of my shelter, but if you store your vendor inside of a shelter, it actually does not display on the map. Let me show you this. So I actually keep a register right here behind my power armor station that I have to kind of like jump to get to a little bit. There we go. This is a cheeky way of me being able to hide this. So if I were to take this and store it, and come out over here and look at my map, look at that, I don't have a green V anymore. So even though my shop is inside of my shelter, it doesn't display that I have a shop. So I'm gonna actually put that back right there so I can have some people visiting my camp, because I do love people visiting my camp. I recommend if you are putting your shop inside of a camp, that you have a register somewhere at your camp for players who don't want to go through the extra loading screen. I'm just extra. I don't like the way a cash register looks in my camp anywhere. I know I'm picky. I just put it in the corner over there because I don't know. I like having a pawn shop. I have a pawn shop in my shelter, and yeah, so that's just me. That's me being picky. I know it takes away from people visiting my shop because it's in a shelter. It's an extra loading screen. That's a risk I'm willing to take. It's okay. But I don't recommend, if you're very strapped for caps and you're starting out, I don't recommend keeping your vendor inside of a shelter, or at least if you do, have a register at your camp for players who don't want to go through those loading screens. Because if you are on last gen, it does put you behind a long loading screen. I actually got a buddy who plays the game on an external hard drive. Even though he's on next gen Xbox, he plays on an external hard drive, and load it into a shelter can take up to 3 minutes at times. So it is not a fun venture for those people. And the next tip I have for you guys is that your shop still counts towards your stash. So this is something I didn't realize at first when I first started setting up a vendor at my camp. So I'm gonna show you an example of this. I have a fixer in my stash box right here. It weighs 10 pounds. I'm going to press assign, and I'm just gonna put a price on it. It doesn't go for this. This is just me for example purposes. I'm gonna put it up for that much. I still have 826 weight in my stash box. So I'm going to cancel the sale because I don't actually want to sell a fixer. It's just in there for fun for some reason. So even though you have 120 vending slots, the weight still counts towards your stash. So keep that in mind. If you decide to sell 5 or 6 Fat Man in your camp, it's probably going to take up a very, very big amount of weight from your shop. Be sure when you're stash managing, remember that putting it in the store doesn't actually take the weight away from your stash box. The next one, guys, is just a tip for you. This is what I recommend. I recommend if you're selling ammo, only sell it for 1 cap at a time, unless it's something extremely hard to get. Obviously, fusion cores sell for more than 1 cap. I recommend between 50 to 125 caps per fusion core. Really depends on how common they are to you. But like, as you can see, I have 5mm rounds here. I have them posted for 1 cap each. If they sell, that's 7,500 caps right there. So there we go. That's perfect. That's the caps I want from it. So keep that in mind whenever you are going to be selling ammo. Just be mindful of how much it costs to actually get a decent amount of it. Because just think about it. So if you're selling fusion cells in your shop and you're selling about 500 of them, it's going to cost 1,000 caps to get 500 of those. So keep that in mind, guys. If you are selling ammo, just sell it for a cap each is what I recommend. You can push your luck with 2. Most likely it's not going to sell. Me, who plays this game and is sitting just below 40k caps and doesn't know what to spend my caps on, even if I need that ammo, I'm not going to spend 2 caps on that stack of ammo. Just be smart when it comes to posting ammo prices. Something like plasma cores you could probably do for more than 1 cap, just because plasma cores, each one is technically 500 rounds if you're using the Gatling, the plasma Gatling. So basically your regular ammo, sell for 1 cap each. That's my tip I have for you. Moving on to the next one, do some research on how rare the plans are before you sell them. The example I'm going to use here is I see so many of these in players' shops and they're never going to sell. Mole Miner gauntlets. I at one time had 30 of them in my shop, and then I realized they're not going to sell. So Mole Miner gauntlets are extremely common plans. And also, you can just go get a Mole Miner gauntlet when you kill a Mole Miner. Like, it's most likely they're just going to drop it. Each plan is a quarter of a pound. So if you have 4 plans, that's 1 pound. So me having 30 of them in my shop at a time, this is also before I realized that the weight correlates to your stash box that is also in your vendor. I end up taking a good bit of weight. If it's a plan you get a lot of, it's probably something that a lot of players already have as well. I know I see a lot of ultra sight like pieces and helms and stuff like that you get when you fight the Scourge Beast Queen. Just know that so many players have those plans now, and they're probably not the most rarest plan in the game. But if you have something for like the Excavator or the T51 or T45, probably sell those. But when it comes to the ultra sight helm and things like that, everybody has like 5 of those, guys. Just be mindful of which plans are actually rare and which aren't. I'm not saying you shouldn't sell those, but something like the Mole Miner gauntlet, if you're selling it in your shop and you're gonna sit on it forever, no one's gonna buy those. Do some research on how common the plans drop. I recommend, if it's a plan that you have so many of and you obviously are getting a lot of, I don't recommend selling it for more than 50 caps. I had the Mole Miner gauntlet plans at one point in my camp for 5 caps and they didn't sell because everybody has them. So just keep that in mind. Maybe do a quick little Reddit search or Google search to see how rare the plan actually is, and maybe if you should sell it or not, or maybe you should just, discard it. Sometimes it's just better to just drop it and move on. They do take up a little bit of weight and they do add up very fast. Moving on to the next one, guys. Food still spoils in your store, so keep that in mind. If you are going to sell food in your shop, make sure it's unspoilable food, or it's something that will sell extremely fast. I used to farm brain bombs a lot, but since I have my carnivore mutation, I don't use brain bombs anymore. And the problem is with this is I was like, alright, I still have all these materials for them. Yes, the materials do spoil, but let me just make them and I'll make caps off of them because so many people will use them, because brain bombs are a great way to get a little boost of intelligence. They all spoiled because nobody came to my shop in that hour that I put them up, and they spoiled. Food will still spoil in your store. Now you can probably sell Nuka-Colas and sugar bombs and other non-spoilable food items, like purified water is a good one you could probably sell, and things like canned dog food and pre-war food, essentially. Alright, we're going to talk about something I see a lot of. Every now and then I come across a camp where everything in the camp is listed for very large amounts of caps. I came across this one camp the other day. This level 52. If this is you, I'm sorry, don't take it personally, but everything in your camp was listed for 10k caps. And I'm talking about, it was just common items you find around the wasteland. It's not like the rare glowing Fashnock mask, which you probably shouldn't even put those in your vendors anyways. You should be selling those on the market online because you can get way more than max caps for those. But he was selling items like a super sludge for like 20k caps. Be careful on how much you list your stuff for. There are some items that will get very pricey. God roll weapons normally go for a lot of caps. Items for power armor, depending on the power armor, like some of the power armor modifications and stuff like that will normally sell for a decent bit of caps. By that I mean probably like a few hundred to maybe the low thousands. I've seen serum plans in player shops, which if you have serum plans, those, I mean, they base sell in the game for like 18k, something like that. I could be off by just a little bit. It really depends on your perks you have, but if you're selling things like that for like 40k caps, the likelihood of you actually selling that is like 2%. Don't sell things for crazy prices, or you can post your prices for whatever you want. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to give you guys tips, but it's completely up to you guys. That's just something I see a lot of low players do. I did the same thing. I used to sell weapons for double what their actual value was, hoping somebody would be like, oh yeah, I need this right now. 9 times out of 10, they don't. This is a very, very, very important one, at least to me. If you've seen prior videos of mine, you've probably heard me say this a few times, and it's, I don't play video games to stand in line. So you can probably guess what I'm about to say. Have at least 2 vending machines at your camp. If you have a like pawn shop set up like I do, if you walk in, I have 3 vendors. I know people who literally, you walk up, they have 3 vending machines right there. Try to avoid the 1 vending machine. If you have a smaller camp and you don't have a lot to offer, that's understandable. If you're selling a lot of things, I recommend having more than 1. There's been so many times to where people just take their time looking through the shop, because some people are like, okay, I need this for this, I need this for this. They're gonna take their time, and I respect that. Not trying to clown on those people. I'm not gonna wait in line. I'm just gonna fast travel to the next camp and get it on with. So that's just my advice on that one, is don't have just 1 register. You can have up to 4 or 5. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but you can have up to 4 or 5 at a time in your camp. I recommend at least using 2 of those slots, even 3. I mean, sometimes like if you're in a very popular area, it could be a chance to where you get 2 or 3 people at your vendor at a time. You don't want those potential buyers to leave your camp because there's a line, right? If you have really good plans and you're trying to make those caps, you don't want people to leave your camp without buying something, so you want to make sure they can at least look at what you're selling. On to one I've seen a good bit in the comment sections. There's been so many comments of low-level players doing this on accident. Also, high-level players too, because if you have the legendary perk that allows you to auto-unlock locked doors, it's going to automatically put a bounty on your head. This is, don't lock your vendor inside of a door at your camp. So if you put a lock at your door at the camp, I know that's a great way to keep your NPC or your camp pet or ally from opening your door. The only issue with this is players can't get to your shop without getting a bounty put on their head. They would have to pick your lock to get to your shop if it's locked inside the door. Instead of waiting to get ka-chowed by a higher level, because that's probably what's going to happen, let's be honest, most players would just go somewhere else. That's what I would do. I don't even pick the lock. I just dip. It saves me the headache of not knowing when someone's just going to come and ka-chow me, you know? So don't lock your vendor inside of your shop. Just keep it on the outside. Maybe put a window. Do like a drive-through window on the side or something to where we can just reach in, or, you know, find a way to get to the shop without having to enter the door. Maybe, as I said, maybe do a drive-through window or something. I don't know. That'd be cool. Or, you know, have a hole in the roof that us more super mutation people can just jump right in. Or I'm going to find one way in or another. I'm not going to pick your lock and get a bounty on my head. To add to this one, take into account that if there is a lock on someone's camp vendor, so like if there's a lock on the room it's in, there's a high chance that they're probably maxed out on caps and they are just locking the vendor out to keep you from buying anything else. Maybe swing back later and see if they spent those caps. That actually brings me right into the next thing I was about to say, and it's when you're running a vendor, watch your caps. You're constantly gaining caps, essentially. If you're playing the game correctly, you're constantly gaining caps. On top of me being able to sell things to NPC vendors and my regular vendor shop generating caps because I do farm fusion cores and things like that. The amount of times I hit max caps and then I just lose a bunch of caps because I don't realize I hit max caps is a lot. It happens all the time, and I wish it happened a lot less because I couldn't imagine how many like caps I've missed out on. I'm still trying to collect all the serum recipes and things like that, so happens quite a bit. I recommend just, if you're running a vendor, when you get to like 32,000 caps, because the max is 40k. 40k is the absolute max amount of caps that you can have in Fallout 76 at a time. So when you get around like 32k, if you're running a very successful vendor and you have like a fusion core farm going and you're just selling those left and right, maybe start to watch your caps once you get to 32,000. Be mindful of how many caps you have at all times, just to make sure that you're not towards the limit yet. Alright guys, if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you so much. Be sure to press that like button if you did enjoy. If I missed any tips you guys have for vendors, leave them in the comment section down below. Maybe I'll mention them in a future video, or I'll just pin your comment if it's a really good one down below. Guys, this community's been great. I've received so many positive comments, and I really appreciate all you guys. Like, you guys want to help everybody in the community, and it's such an amazing community. Thank you for all the support, guys. I just truly appreciate it. I think we just passed 3,500 subscribers. That is an insane number to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not going to spend all day talking about it. I talk about it in every video. Guys, I am working on planning a stream sometime later next week on YouTube. I'm going to try to stream at least once to twice a week with you guys. I'm working on my first one. I want to make it a special event. Be sure to take a look at my community page every now and then. I'm going to work on a date and I'm going to post it on there. I'll probably do some giveaways when we go live with the stream on Fallout 76. So if you're a lower level and you're looking for some good boost, maybe stop by and hang out for a little bit. I haven't quite decided what we're doing yet. Just keep your eye out for that. I recommend joining my Discord. It's been quiet the past few days. I've just been so busy with work. I'm working on adding some things to there to make it more interactive. So be sure to join. And guys, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. If you're returning, be sure to press that like button. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. But as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.